Good afternoon here on KM Activities, your home for the Comets. I'm Joel McCall and doing a little special afternoon interview as Mel Ferris is going to join us. She's the KM Director, and we get to talk all about what is upcoming for the school play or musicals, pardon me. But Mel, first of all, thanks so much for linking up with me this afternoon. Appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Well, I know that it happened a while ago, but I do want to ask about a recap of the one act play because I know
Sure.
that was about a month ago or so, and how things go there. And you could talk about the performance and everything.
Sure. Well, we participated in the HVL one act conference, which is basically just the HVL schools, and it was all done virtually this year, both the HVL conference and the regular 1AA one act competition. We did a play called Bad Auditions on Camera, which basically is about a director trying to replace the lead in a TV show. And her casting assistant has got these people lined up to read the same excerpt from the script over and over, and every single one of them has some quirk or strange part of their interview. Like the weirdest one is the person that wears a chicken suit as their clothes all the time. But there's the over frazzled actress. There's the guy that can't seem to get into the frame properly. He's either like all the way up in it, or he's back, or he's over here. Just a whole bunch of really funny characters. And at HVL, we ended up being named All Conference along with Byron. So there were two All Conference shows. And Gabe Bungham and Olivia Smith were both named All Conference actors for that. So we're very proud of them. And then at 1AA subsections, we came in first place. So we advanced two sections where unfortunately we came in third place, but that's okay. You know, it's been an odd year. I'm just glad that we were able to actually do the show.
How difficult was it to put together when it is all virtual?
Not as bad as you think. The biggest challenge is, since we do have a lot of students who live in slightly more rural settings, getting a good Wi-Fi connection was kind of a problem at times. So what we did for the days that we were recording is everybody that was comfortable with it would come to school with their computer, so that we were all largely synced into the same system. And we just put everybody in different classrooms. So everybody was very much, more than 6 feet apart. So from that aspect, it wasn't difficult. The one unforeseen circumstance when we were getting ready to record our competition version is that I came down with COVID, so I couldn't be there. So it was kind of a good and a bad that I chose something that was done completely virtually, because then I could still sit here, and Cody, my assistant director, came in and ran the show and helped get everybody situated on that end. So all's well that ends well. It was a unique experience. I don't really want to repeat it again, but if we have to, then we have to. We're ready.
Well, you mentioned that Gabe and Olivia were all conference. What parts did they play?
Gabe played the character that can't stay in the frame. And one of the things that he did perfectly was, and it was really strange because he could do it whether he was seated in a rolling chair or whether he was standing, but he managed to just make himself move smoothly, so that it looked like the camera was just something weird was going on. And Olivia played the frazzled actress who is having a hard time remembering her lines and then starts spoonerizing things at the end of the play. So two very funny characters in the show.
Yeah, that's awesome. And here you are now starting to think about the high school musical. And that's the one thing I do want to stress right away, is that it's the high school musical. It won't be the all school play or all school musical as it was. You have held auditions, correct, for Little Shop of Horrors?
Yes, we have held auditions. We've got the show cast. We are in I can't remember if this is our first or second week of rehearsals at this point. Everything's kind of a blur. But yeah, the show is cast. We picked this show because it does have a very small pit orchestra, 5 people. And it also can be done with as few as 8 or 9 actors, but we've stretched it up to, I think, 17, which incorporates understudies as well. We're planning to do it in person. We've already got the plants lined up, the Audrey 2s and all of Audrey 2's various incarnations. I do want to stress that this is a PG to PG-13 show because of some language. There's definitely some language that's not appropriate for younger ears. You do have a plant that lives on blood. And there is a domestic violence and slight drug abuse situation with the dentist character. So I do want parents to know full on before they come in, not really appropriate for all ages, unlike our usual all school musicals, which are always appropriate for all ages.
Right. But the other reason why you had to choose this is because you were able to do it with a small cast. Did you look at anything else, or really was there anything else available?
Yeah, we looked, Mr. Bolt, Mr. Fowler, and I had been looking at shows ever since we realized there was no way we were going to be able to do an all school. And once we finally got permission that, yeah, we could do a smaller cast show, we started looking. And the thing that we found is some publishers just aren't on the ball right now with everybody working from home. So one of the publishers that controls the bulk of the musicals is very, very slow in giving rights. I actually applied for 3 or 4 big name shows through them, and I'm only now starting to hear back from them that, oh, well, you know, it'll cost this amount or that amount. And then we did look also at several shows with Music Theater International, which is the publisher for Little Shop. Ironically, we were almost not able to do this show because when Broadway closed, there was a revival of this show going on with Jonathan Groff playing Seymour. So I suspect this is going to be one of the first shows that reopens Broadway. So we have a very limited amount of time. We have to be done and dusted and packed up by June 1st because our rights completely expire at that point. But we considered a lot of shows, and they were either really heavy on dancing, which is not a good idea in a COVID situation, or they required bigger casts. They required, frankly, more men than we are able to do at this point. We looked at Freaky Friday. Cast is too big. Orchestra is too big. You know, there were lots of reasons why this was the right show to do. And then ironically, it's also the last musical that was on stage in Dodge County a year ago when COVID hit, because Mantorville Theater Company was doing it and they had to cancel their final weekend because we all went into quarantine.
Jeez, yeah. Well, I know that your hands were tied, and
Yeah,
certainly you were trying to do everything that you could, and obviously the restrictions kind of led to using only high school students, as you said. You couldn't do all school, but you have auditions. You've got the cast. Tell me about them.
Sure. Well, Gabe Bungham is going to be playing Seymour, so he is our lovable botanist nerd. Lydia Gillis is going to be playing Audrey. It's she brings a really different spin to the character that I really liked. Folks will remember her as Mrs. Potts and also as the gingerbread cookie in Shrek. So then there are some slight, different castings that we did. Julia Christensen is playing Mr. Mushnick, so we'll be turning her into an older man from New York. We have the 3 urchins, which are their function is like the Greek chorus. They kind of narrate the show and string it along, and that's Olivia Smith, Rachel Tuma, and Greta Wright. I'm going to forget somebody, and I'm going to be very embarrassed when I do. Audrey 2 is another unusual cast. The voice of the plant is actually being done by Hannah Olson, who Hannah is she's a very petite dancer. She's also our choreographer, but she has this amazing, big, soulful voice. So she's doing a role that's usually done by a baritone or a bass man. And it's fabulous. It really is amazing to hear her sing. And we have a lot of younger actors that are making their debut. Ethan Barnum is playing Orrin the dentist, which is completely against type. He is nothing like Orrin, and we're trying to teach him how to be mean and horrible. We have Caden Beliveau, Chelsea Pierrick, and Victoria Reese are playing the 3 characters that come in trying to get Seymour to sign everything away so that he can be rich and famous because of Audrey. I'm trying to think. I'm hopefully not. Lucy Anderson, Emma Wilson. Mia Pappas is playing the radio interviewer. This is her first show with us as a high school student. And I'm really sure there's someone that I'm forgetting, but it really is a wonderful. Megan Giese and Paige Vogel are the other 2 understudies for the urchins, so they're also in our collection. It's a fun group. It's really a diverse group. There's a lot of ninth graders again, a lot of people that were in Radium Girls that made their debut there. So just a lot of fun. 5 very strong seniors that we wanted to give one last opportunity since they got robbed when we couldn't do Father Knows Best last spring.
Right.
So that was another reason for going for a slightly more challenging, smaller cast show. Was we have the talent, we may as well use it.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. Well, how are rehearsals and pre-production going? Because you've got, what, about a month to prepare?
Don't remind me. We have the show is actually scheduled to open. I keep trying to keep my phone calendar open here so that I can get my dates straight. We're going to open on April 23rd. So a better part of 4 or 5 weeks. It'll be a busy spring break, getting the set built and put in place. And then the show will run April 23rd and 24th at 7 p.m., April 25th at 2 p.m. And then it will also run April 30th and May 1st at 7 p.m. and May 2nd at 2 p.m. And the reason we're doing 6 shows, even with a smaller cast, is we're limited to 250 people, socially distanced. But we're also going to record it and we're going to stream it the following weekend. So you will be able to buy a ticket and watch the stream of the performance like we did for Radium Girls, which we got a lot of positive, very positive feedback on that because relatives and graduates and former drama chickens all over the country are able to buy a ticket and watch the show instead of coming in person. So we're looking forward to that. We're just at the very, very beginning stages. Everybody's really working hard to learn the music because there are very few solos. Almost everything is done as a duo or a trio. So that's very difficult. And it's a doo-wop style sort of. So it's girl group 60s music that most of these kids aren't too familiar with. And with it being an early 80s show, in the style of camp, which camp is its own unique creature. It's something that you recognize as familiar, but it makes you feel just a little bit uncomfortable, which is kind of the essence of this show. And when it was written, when New York was sort of at the bottom of its economy and Broadway was a really nasty place, the show was kind of written as a commentary on consumerism. What are you willing to give up? How low are you willing to go to get that one thing that you think you can't live without? So it presents some interesting things to discuss with the kids and some new acting styles to work on and new concepts. And there's old play references in here that none of them get. So I have to stop and explain that. So it's a lot of fun. It's a good learning opportunity for all of us. And so far we're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's awesome to kind of actually take them out of their comfort zone and challenge them to something totally different. And for those seniors, I'm sure they're just accepting the challenge and want to do the best that they can with the show. You mentioned the dates already, but how about tickets? So how can somebody actually get tickets, or is this kind of limited to family? What's the story there?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
We're hoping to actually, I mean, obviously we would like to give preference to family members.
Right.
But we can have more people than we could when we did Radium Girls. So tickets will go on sale. We're just not sure at this point exactly how we're doing it. So stay tuned. Stay tuned to our Facebook page, subscribe to our Drama News Booster Club newsletter, and it will all be revealed soon. Very, very soon.
Yeah, I think you're on Twitter too, aren't you?
We are. Yep. The students manage the Twitter page, so I kind of sometimes forget that we're on Twitter and Instagram. So.
Well, excellent. Yeah, we'll make sure to publicize that too. I'm sure the KM Activities Twitter handle will certainly be broadcasting that out too and letting people know when they can get those tickets. I'm looking forward to it. I hope I get to see it in person.
Good. Well, we hope so too.
Yes. But yeah, looking forward to it, Mel. As always, just a pleasure to talk with you. Great job with all the kids. Do such a wonderful job, and I think KM is very lucky to have you.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you, and thank you for helping us tell everybody all of our stories.
Yeah, no problem. That's Mel Ferris then for the KM Director. I'm Joel McCall. We do have basketball tonight, so you can tune in for that later on. That'll be on KM Activities Channel 2 with Kasson Mantorville hosting Pine Island. That's a C squad, 4:45. And then I think it's 6 o'clock for JV, 7:15 is the varsity. So I'm Joel McCall for Mel Ferris. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.